Hello everyone, hi. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Hi guys. Guys, if you guys can hear me, just type in yes in the chat box. All right, I see some yeses in the chat box. Great. Yes, it's a very active chat box. That's great. You guys are all here. So welcome everyone. Welcome to our HR Lounge, where the topic for today will be supercharging employee experience using ChatGPT and generative AI. My name is Jana and I will be the MC for today. All right, so thank you everyone for coming in on time. Really appreciate it, but let's wait for a few more minutes for some more people to join us. In the meantime, let me share with you more about SHRI and some simple ground rules for today's webinar through a short video. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video.
Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us. We will start the session shortly as we allow more participants to join in. While we are waiting, here is a short sharing about what we do here at SHRI. Here at SHRI, our vision is to be the leading HR authority in Singapore to champion human capital excellence, and our mission is to advocate HR best practices, connect a community of HR professionals, and enhance the HR profession. This is our ACE model, where we believe in advocating HR best practices, connecting a community of HR professionals, and enhancing the HR profession. SHRI comprises of 3 entities. At SHRI, we strive to enhance recognition and standing of the HR profession through our professional membership, the Singapore HR Awards, and events. At SHRI Academy level, we strive to raise and enable HR professionalism through our proprietary courses and short courses. At SHRI Corp, we strive to provide HR resources, expertise, and value-added services to individuals and organizations through specialized workshops, corporate HR training, HR consulting and advisory, and employment standards audit. We hope to be the HR ecosystem in Singapore for government bodies, HR professionals, and more. At the presidential level, we are led by Mr. D.N. Prasad, and at the secretariat level, we are led by Executive Director Mr. Alvin Goh. These are the national and regional partners we work with. We offer SHRI membership, and through our membership, we strive to drive professionalism with the right connections and development opportunities for the HR fraternity. Here's an overview of the events and webinars we held last year. To make this session more enjoyable for everyone, we hope everyone will adhere to these simple ground rules. All attendees will be muted for better administration of the event. Kindly ensure that your mic remains muted throughout the session. Attendees may chat in the chat box and share questions in the Q&A section, which you can locate at the bottom of your screen or device. Chats are enabled throughout the webinar, and questions will be addressed during the Q&A session after the speaker's sharing. And lastly, post-webinar resources will be sent to all attendees after the event by next week. Thank you, and let's have a great session. All right, so that was a quick short video for more information about SHRI. Thank you for everyone for joining this webinar. So let's start this webinar proper. All right, so for today's webinar, it's about supercharging employee experience using ChatGPT and generative AI. So AI is revolutionizing every function and role in organizations rapidly. During this webinar, you would be able to learn more on how it can benefit HR and talent leaders. Dive into 7 high-impact use cases and the best AI tools suitable for HR professionals, such as streamlined onboarding, optimized training, improved communication, foster collaboration, support employee well-being, enhance talent management, and enable data-driven HR decisions. So learn how you can generative AI can save HR leaders significant time, resources, and effort, leading to increased productivity, employee satisfaction, and overall organizational success. All right, so today we have Mr. Saurabh Chopra, who will be sharing on this topic. Saurabh is a HR tech entrepreneur with a track record of success. He enjoys using technology to tackle organizational problems and previously co-founded Perkbox, a global platform that provides an exceptional employee experience to over 5,000 employers in over 60 countries. His new venture, 5 Minutes, is helping employees develop lifelong learning skills and building a culture of learning within companies. So without further ado, let's welcome Saurabh, founder of 5 Minutes to Share. Saurabh, please.
Morning, everyone. Really excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon to speak to me about one of my favorite subjects these days, which is how to use AI to really enhance and enrich the employee experience. So thanks again. I'm very, very excited. We've got almost, the numbers are growing. We've got almost, almost 150 people live, which is fantastic. And it just shows how excited, interested, and motivated you guys are to learn about, the power of AI. So I'm going to share my screen now and dive into the presentation. So Jana and team, let me know if you guys can hear me properly or anything like that. We all know that technology issues can happen, in these things. So I will switch to my screen and start my presentation. If I have the go ahead from you, Jana. Okay, I will take that as a yes. Okay, excellent. So let me switch to the kind of presentation mode here. So we're here to talk about how obviously technologies, generative AI evolving, and how you can actually use that in your kind of a day-to-day work as you supercharge your employee experience. I'll introduce you quickly first to myself. So I'm the founder. I've been in the HR tech space for quite some time. Prior to that, in my early days, I've been in tech for about 20 years. I started with Yahoo when people used to use Yahoo a long time ago, about 20 years ago. And then I did a startup, which in 2006, which failed quite spectacularly, but I learned a lot from it. And I've been in the HR tech scene since then. I started a company called Perkbox, which is a global employee experience platform, works with about 5,000 employers in 60 plus countries. and reaches almost 1 million employees. And my passion in life is to really help people unlock their potential to lifelong learning. I am a lifelong learner, and whether it's technology or something else, and I do believe that that can really help you accomplish amazing things at work and in personal life. That's my email address. Please feel free to ping me anytime if you guys have any questions on generative AI, HR tech, or anything else. So let me introduce you to 5 Minutes very, very quickly. 5 Minutes is a next generation e-learning platform. Our mission is to help employees with lifelong learning, help companies build a learning culture. And the way we do it is by removing the friction around learning, so that learning becomes fun, engaging, enjoyable. We're live in actually about 90 plus global markets. So pretty much every continent, we've got customers, employees using our product. We have some awesome partners we work with. Obviously, partners like London Business School, MIT, companies like Dropbox use us, but also a number of organizations in the APAC. APAC is a very, very big growth area for us. We have a lot of startups, scale-ups like Beam, Tunes, Tukitaki, Paynet in Malaysia, so all over the place. And we see some incredible engagement from this region. So we're very, very excited about how companies in APAC are building that culture of lifelong learning. So I'll just run through a very quick 1-minute video to give you a feel for 5 minutes before we dive into generative AI and ChatGPT. So it'll give you an understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. Please bear with me 1 second. I'm going to play this video and hopefully you will be able to hear it. So I'll turn on the video now and then I'll switch back to the presentation. Okay, so that's a quick 1 minute on 5 minutes. Are you? So I'll dive into the presentation back again. I just want to make sure that everybody's able to see everything, and let's kick it off. So, over the last 50 years, technology you've seen massive technology leaps, technology. And with every technology leap, we believe that, it has really helped HR teams become much more efficient and productive. So you had mainframe computers, just in the mid 70s, which meant you could store employee data, you can manage employee data better. You had PCs and spreadsheets kind of in the mid 80s with the Microsoft revolution, which meant you could do much better data analysis, reporting. Then internet and email, which means all of a sudden the world of email employee communication opened up for HR leaders. Mid 2005-ish, you have, HR management systems at a much broader scale available, ATS is available, again, leading you to a lot of automation that helps you with the employee experience. And then finally, about 10 years ago, you really had two key technology trends coming, which is cloud systems and much more detailed analytics. So what that meant is that with cloud systems, HR systems become much, much more accessible. It was not just the big enterprises who could use and afford HR systems. Small to medium-sized companies, as we know now, are using these systems at scale. They're able to analyze data on their employees, do much, much better people analytics that they've been ever able to do, and at a much, much lower cost. Similarly, social media, we are all on LinkedIn. We see how it is being used so effectively for employee branding and employer branding and employee branding and so on and so forth. So with every shift in technology, what happens is, there's a lot more tools available to HR teams, to people teams, to really enrich the employee experience. And it's not about, hey, technology creates panic. Technology actually improves lives for HR professionals. So, and we believe that really this is the next wave. Generative AI and ChatGPT is really the next wave, potentially a bigger wave than we have ever seen in terms of HR technology and the enhancements to HR technology. And that's our fundamental belief. So, we do believe it'll supercharge the work of HR. So before we go into details, I want to take a quick poll. And Jana, if you can help me, I wanted to ask, how many people have actually tried ChatGPT? And how often do you use it? Okay, fantastic. That's great to see some live numbers. So it's really great to see that about 27% are actually using it regularly, both for personal and for work. And then there is obviously a number of you, about 37%, who have played around with it a few times, and another 30% who haven't used it at all. So hopefully, what I'm hoping to do is that through this presentation, show you how the 32% who have not used it will start using it, and hopefully the people who have already played around will get some more tips and tricks to play with it better, so you can go back and be much more efficient and productive and save time for yourself. Great, thank you very much for that. Let's go into what is generative AI. So generative AI essentially is a new category of AI that actually can generate new content based on patterns it has learned from existing data. It's different to other forms of AI that you have seen in the technology space. A lot of AI traditionally has been around being more predictive or reactive based on data. But what generative AI is able to do is generate content, like humans do. It's very, very, very complex to build because it requires enormous amount of data to train itself, and really advanced algorithms and a lot of tuning and a lot of time. So from a processing standpoint, it is very expensive. And therefore, you see that some of the best AI data models are coming from some of the biggest companies in the world, like OpenAI or Google or Amazon or Microsoft and Facebook. So the LLMs, which are the large language models, are the most well-known type of AI. These large language models are pretty much what most of the generative AI tools use. So if you look at what ChatGPT, essentially it uses now GPT-4, and then before that it was using GPT-3, which is GPT's general purpose transformers, and so these are essentially large language models, and they're trained on vast amounts of data to learn patterns and connections between words and phrases. So it's just to give you an example, GPT-4 is a model that has been trained on over 1 trillion parameters, and imagine 3.5 billion pages of data it's been watching and learning, and it has been trained on that. So what happens is that when a large language model is trained on this data, it starts understanding the patterns between the data. And so when you ask it a question, it's able to respond to it based on the training and the fine tuning. And every response, as it gets better and better and better, and so it's constantly tuning. And so that's how essentially a large language model works. I kind of when I look at analogies for large language models, I kind of almost equate it to kind of a child or a toddler. When a baby goes to a toddler and they're not speaking the language, they listen and hear their parents are talking to them, and that's how a toddler starts learning the language, right? You don't have to train a toddler, hey, this are the words, speak this. They just learn automatically because the parents are constantly talking to them. So imagine you had a baby becoming a toddler, but it was not necessarily just, it was not just their parents who were talking to them. It was every parent in the community was talking to this child. Imagine if every parent in the country was talking to that child. Imagine if then, over the last 400 years, every parent was talking to this child. So that's how, to me, a large language model is almost like a baby becoming a toddler who everybody's talking to, and they're constantly learning. And you don't have to explicitly train them, hey, this is the word for this, right? It's a naturally learning and naturally tuning itself as it hears, and everybody's talking to them. So that's a large language model, to me, very similar in easy terms to understand, is like a baby or a toddler who's just constantly learning with huge amounts of data, not just of the present, but also of the past. So as I said, about 3.5 billion pages. So in terms of what generative AI can do now, it's really astounding. So obviously you guys have played around with ChatGPT, which is probably the most well-known generative AI tool out there. There's some other awesome tools. There's Lexica, which does text to image generation, pretty cool images they generate along with DALL-E. You've got Tome, which is text to presentation. Synthesia is another fantastic tool that's being used by a lot of companies for internal training course material, which is basically human-like video generation. And then there's Amper, which is music generation. But the number of tools that are coming out on the market is just enormous. Every week you are hearing about new tools, leveraging the core generative AI LLM principles and creating new tools that make our lives a lot more easier and save us all a lot of time. Here are some examples. There was David Beckham was made to speak 9 languages using Synthesia technology for a malaria campaign, which is quite incredible. I'm not sure David Beckham knows 9 languages. What's even more interesting is that AI generated images are now winning art awards. There's a Teatro de Opera Special, which was in a Colorado State Fair. It was an all AI generated image. That image you see there. The one below is also an AI generated image. It was a Sony World Photography Awards. And what's actually interesting is that I think the photographer declined the award because he declared that the award has actually been the image has been generated by AI. So that's the power that you're seeing in terms of the outputs we're getting. From a learning standpoint, it's quite interesting that both Duolingo and Khan Academy have been close partners of OpenAI, which built ChatGPT, and using the same underlying technology that uses ChatGPT, but using it for interactive learning. So Duolingo Max and Khan Migo are learning products where you're actually interacting with a live AI bot and using it to improve your language. And so far, what we see is the results have been quite very positive. Then you have Microsoft, obviously one of the biggest shareholders of OpenAI, is including Copilot into his apps. So very soon we will see OpenAI and AI technologies embedded into the products that we use every day, the likes of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and so on and so forth. So saving us tons and tons of time. So what does it all mean? There are obviously risks you need to be aware of when it comes to AI technology, which is about biases, how accurate is the response, data security, and a potential job displacement in certain areas. However, we fundamentally believe that it's all, in a net, it's very positive in terms of how much time it can save everybody and how productive it can make everybody. And frankly, if you don't start using it now, we believe that in the medium to long term, you will be at a competitive disadvantage as a team, as a company. So what can it do today to enable the employee experience, enrich the employee experience? So, and again, the way kind of we think about it is that don't think of it as an artificial intelligence, think of it as assisted intelligence. So it's helping you do your job better. as opposed to, kind of replacing your thinking. It's augmenting your thinking, assisting your thinking, and saving you time. So employee experience, right now, there's a number of things you can do throughout the employee life cycle that using ChatGPT and other generative AI tools. I want to take you through some examples. And so let's look at the overall kind of employee life cycle, if you will. So you've got core HR, which is payroll, HRIS, all those systems in there. So what we believe is that a lot of these systems will automatically embed AI into those systems. So they'll be embedded by our HR provider, they'll be embedded by a payroll provider, trained on their internal data sets and stuff like that. So beyond that, you get into technology talent acquisition. So you've got recruitment. So, great example is using it for job ads, candidate outreach, CV analysis is something that you can do. Onboarding, you can create custom plans for your employees using ChatGPT and generative AI tools. Talent management, compensation and benefits, benchmarking, benefits in a location area segment, employment law, get some feedback across different markets. Learning is a very, very good use case, which is why we, as a learning platform, as a next-gen learning platform, we're really embedding ChatGPT, GPT-4 technologies into our product, and we're very excited about the potential. But what you can do yourself is to look at, creating skill pathways, understanding skill matrices, competency matrices, even create courses, mini courses, if you will. You can do this data that's out there. Employee engagement, fantastic use case. Employee surveys, analyzing the sentiment of employee surveys, and then creating internal communications, is another area where generative AI and ChatGPT can help you. And then I'll take you through some specific examples of those particular areas. So let's dive down. So into one next level of detail. So let's look at recruitment and onboarding. So recruitment onboarding, great use case. You can create tailored job and descriptions for your organization and your skill needs that are inclusive and non-discriminatory. So you can, and I'll show you how in our prompts. You can draft candidate outreach emails. You can come up with interview questions, support candidate evaluation. You can come up with custom onboarding plans for employees in different roles, as I mentioned earlier. When it comes to talent management, compensation, benefits, employee engagement, it can help you research compensation and benefit plans in different markets. Let's say you want to launch another market, you're trying to expand geographically, this is how it can help you. Employee law, it can help you research in different markets. Employee survey questions, depending on your context, your industry, you can ask ChatGPT with the right prompt, hey, can you help me with these survey questions? You can feed survey data into ChatGPT, understand the sentiment of surveys, summarize the findings, recommend actions, and then obviously, as I said previously, internal communication emails. And not just the copy of the emails, you can also create cool images. You can use Lexica or DALL-E to create these images that, a lot of employee comms needs images. And if you want to create something custom cool, you can use these tools to do that. Learning and development, massive use case. Skills matrices around different functions, skill assessments, leadership career development plans, help you find a list of free courses. So if you want to say, hey, you're a very tight budget, and you say, look, I don't really have a lot of money to spend on courses, tell me the best courses that are out there for a particular topic area. You can come up with a list and then direct your people to that channel. Learning programs. So depending on the principle that you're trying to teach, you can create specific learning programs. So for example, Pareto principle. So if you wanted to ask ChatGPT something like, hey, tell me about the 20% of knowledge in a topic that helps you understand 80% of the topic, the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, it can spit that out to you. It can use a Feynman technique, which is, teach this topic to me like you would teach a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. So really stupid, simple, and it can design a course in that model. It can come up with spaced repetition. So you can ask around, hey, I want to learn about, negotiations. Please create a spaced repetition course for me, which lasts 1 or 2 weeks, and it'll come up with those prompts for you. And then what's really cool is actually you can combine the content from ChatGPT and Synthesia, which is a video generation, to probably create an interactive course. So learning and development has got a ton of use cases. Now, I want to take you now into specifically how you do that. So we've talked about why, we have talked about what you can do. Now I want to take you into specific examples around how you can use kind of ChatGPT and what are the areas of caution that you should consider when you are using generative AI and ChatGPT. So first of all, let's get into prompts. This is a new buzzword and everybody's talking about it. But what is a prompt? Prompt is essentially a specific instruction or a suggestion given to a machine learning model that directs it to perform a specific task or generate a specific output. So the prompt is a way in which you interact with generative AI tools, whether you're in ChatGPT or Lexica or Tomi to do presentations, you're giving it a prompt on which it is returning the output. And the beauty of ChatGPT and generative AI is that it's really, really simple. A prompt is like a conversation you're having with the technology, just like you would communicate with a human. The key thing here is that getting prompts right is really, really key for getting the best results. So I want to take you through some do's and don'ts when it comes to these prompts. And then I want to show you some prompts in action. So when I first started with ChatGPT and other AI tools, that was my challenge as well. I was like, oh, I'm asking it stuff. Why is everybody so excited about it? I'm not getting what I want from it. And to the 33% of the people who dabbled with it sporadically, I think that's probably what is happening, is that you played around with it, maybe you haven't got the best result, and then you're like, oh, what is the fuss about? So in my opinion, if you crack the prompts, then you will just have a materially better experience. So how do you crack prompts? So number one, providing context is really, really key. So you can imagine ChatGPT has been trained on 3.5 billion pages. So context is really, really important. And I'll show you in prompts how we get into it. So for an HR world, your context could be, hey, I'm a senior HR professional. I'm your context, your role. I'm a VP of HR. Or if you're doing it for one of your managers or leaders, hey, I'm about to sit in a session with our exec VP who's got 20 years of experience. So the more detailed you can be in your context, much better output you would get. Type of your company. So your organization, your vertical, that's another context. So the context is essentially really, really key. And then you can also try to do a role play. So things like, like imagine you are an HR director, or imagine. So the role play is really, really important. So be specific, very detailed on what you want the output to be. And that's how you would get results. You can put word limits around it. I often do that. I'll say, hey, I want it capped to 100 words, 200 words, or 300 words. So you can put output limits around it. You can specify the tone. It happens to me sometimes. I ask for something and it's just it would not come from a CEO of a tech startup. So I say, hey, can you tone it down a little bit? So it is, you can even specify the tone that you want. You can include negatives. So you can say, please don't tell me about X, so you can actually provide exclusions when you write your prompt, so it ignores certain things or does not focus on certain things. And just remember, just keep in context, right now, ChatGPT in particular, the data is trained till September 21st. So it's obviously a lot of historical data. Obviously, they're building new models. So I'm sure at some point they will come up with a new model that's got a much trained on the latest data set. But currently, it's captive, which is still a huge amount of data and can help address most of the questions that you have. But just be conscious of like, hey, what data set is it capping out to? So if you asked it, hey, what are the top HR conferences? It'll probably cap out till before 21. It won't be able to tell you, hey, what are the top ones in 2023? But what you can assume is the ones that happen in 2020 will repeat in 2023. So just be conscious of that. What are the don'ts? So you always have to do a human check, right? Remember, this is assisted intelligence. So you have to apply your own, view on things, the output you get. Be conscious of biases. These are data sets. So you just have to be conscious that there may be a bias, and then how does it affect your kind of decision making? That does not mean that it's always there, but there is a potential for being there. And I think the last thing from a don't is my standpoint. What I learned over time very quickly is that you don't stop on the first response. So let's say you put a prompt in, you ask a question, and you get a result. You don't stop at the result you get. You can query it back. You can ask it to refine the answer. You can ask it to, you can challenge it. So for example, you are asking for, let's say, my first example would be a candidate outreach email. So this is a prompt as an example, and then you get an output from ChatGPT. Don't just stop at that. Ask it to refine, question, make it better, change the word limit, change the tone, provide more context, rewrite it. It's a conversation you're having. It's not a one-off, right? That's important. So let me take you through some prompts now that you could use in your day-to-day. But again, the point of this is that to give you ideas, to get some ideas running in your head, to get your creative juices flowing, so that you can apply it, align it to your own context, and then use it in the best way possible. That's the art of the possible there with this tool and generative AI tools. So I'm just going to give you a flavor of what is possible, and then you guys hopefully can adapt it to what you need. So let's look at candidate outreach. So write a brief LinkedIn outreach message for a B2B sales director with several years of experience building sales teams and implementing go-to-market strategies for a fintech startup, which has just raised $50 million and is looking to hire 25 salespeople in the next 2 years. So you can see how specific this is in terms of context, which is, it's a fintech, which is about to hire 25 people, has raised $50 million. And I want a B2B sales director who's got several years of experience. So this is the specificity. You have to make it specific. I could just say, write a brief LinkedIn message for a B2B sales director, and then you won't get the right output, right? So that's an example of a prompt for a LinkedIn outreach message. And, it'll save you a lot of time. It'll probably get you 80% there. You still have to refine it, but at least it saves you 80% of the work. Next, candidate feedback. So let's say a candidate has applied, they're suspending the hiring, you're suspending the hiring, you still want to maintain interest with that candidate, and you may hire them in the next coming weeks. So this is an interactive prompt because let's go through the prompt. It says, I would like you to compose 2 separate emails with comparable content for a candidate who is in a shortlist for a job position. Although we are temporarily suspending the hiring process, I'd like to maintain their interest in our organization as we may consider them hiring them in the coming weeks. Please ask me about a specific area in which they excel during the interview so that you can include it in your communications. So this becomes an interactive prompt. And the output you will get from ChatGPT will, in brackets, have this area you excel in. So you can actually use that, adapt it, and modify it. So this is an example of an interactive prompt where your ChatGPT is asking a question, which helps it write a better prompt. Then giving feedback, a very, very big area. So this is an example where I feel reluctant about providing direct feedback to a person, even though I understand the importance of giving them constructive criticism. While I believe I know how to deliver the feedback, I would request your assistance in helping me prepare for this conversation by providing 10 scenarios where the individual may challenge or dispute my feedback. And I'd appreciate if you could provide me specific examples that I can use to practice responding to these scenarios. I know something that your managers, your leaders, yourselves run into a day-to-day basis. So again, this is an example where, ChatGPT is your thinking partner. It's your sparring partner when it comes to your thoughts, preparing you for better conversation. But again, look at the amount of specificity that we're giving. If we stopped at the first line, give me 10, feedback, ideas to give feedback, you won't get the best result. So the more specific, the better results you get. Another example is competency development. So So let's say you wanted to create a skill development plan for a specific competency for your reports, active listening. So this plan should focus on the job activities that the employee can engage to develop their skills. I'm looking for specific and actionable recommendations for improvement, and I'd like at least 5 activity suggestions for each activity. Please explain why it is beneficial and provide a way to evaluate their performance. So you're asking for a skill development plan from ChatGPT. You're asking for specific recommendations and a detailed way to evaluate the performance as well. So multi-step process there. Research. This is a great use case, but again, this is a use case where you have to have that caution as well, where you are, let's say you're expanding your operations in different countries, and this also has a good role play element. So you can see we're asking ChatGPT, we're expanding our business operations. I'd like you to act as a consultant. So there's a role play there, and provide me insights. And I'm particularly interested in understanding the labor laws as well as local business etiquette and language expectations. So this way, you can get a good feel for some research activity that you want to do. And again, remember the data is capped to 2021. So if the labor laws have changed in Spain since 2021, that will probably not fit in here, unless it will when ChatGPT and GPT models are adapted to use data beyond September 2021. But this takes you a long way. That doesn't mean that you follow the guidance from ChatGPT on employment law in Spain, but it can tell you a lot about business etiquette and language expectations, and then you have to do a validation on the data it has given you, but it saves you a lot of time. Another use case is summarization. So look at the context. So I said, can you summarize what is written in the article below, which is the 6 dysfunctions of a team, and for a senior HR person in 300 words. So I could change the word limit to be shorter, longer, and make it easy and readable. So now, and this is new, they were not doing it previously. About a month ago, I believe the browsing capabilities were not there, and now it's browse the HBR article, summarized it, and it's easy, digestible, that you can then share with your team. So this is a pretty cool tool. It's not only just about giving you answers; it can analyze other data sets and summarize it for you. You can also feed it your own data set. You can feed it your own employee survey results in text format and help understand the sentiment around it. So it's not just your Q&A, it's also looking at external data sets that you can use it for. Creating a course, a mini course, if you would like, on a given topic is a very interesting use case. I'm talking about 2 tools here, ChatGPT and Synthesia. So with ChatGPT, you can give it a prompt. The prompt here is, I'm an internal L&D trainer. I'd like to run a course in psychological safety. We are a fast growth consumer brand where many people have been promoted quickly. So it means that you got new managers who may not have a lot of managerial experience. And can you give me a step-by-step outline of this course? I'd like to run this course in person over 2 hours. So that's the context. We're getting very granular here. And as a result, you'll get a step-by-step outline. Now, what you can then do is, with each specific item in the outline, let's say one of the elements of that psychological safety course is managing conflict. You can then ask ChatGPT again, please, can you give me 1,000 words of rich content for managing conflict, which I can run through in 20 minutes. So then it'll get 1,000 words description of, hey, what is managing conflict, and enough for 20 minutes. And you can ask it in the format. You can use a Feynman technique and say, hey, look, give it to me in a way that it's only a layman can understand, and use examples, case studies, where publicly available from different data sources. So you can have a very rich description that you can then use. And then you can use a tool like Synthesia to create, once you have that text, and let's say you said, hey, I don't want to run it myself, I want to do it online, I want to create a video course, then you can use something like Synthesia to create a video course on the back of it. Skill assessments, another interesting area. So you can create case studies. So let's say you wanted to do a skill assessment for product management, product managers. You could say something like, hey, imagine you're one of the top practitioners in the UK for product management, and you're creating a case study for a senior person with 5 years experience in product management to assess them on product management, create a case study with 250 words with 3 multiple choice questions at the end. Please list the correct answers. Your case study should be similar to case studies in leading publications for product management. So you can replace product management with something else. You can be more granular. You can be more specific. You can attach your own context. So these are 9 examples. I said I'll cover 7. I want to do 2 extra bonus examples. But it just shows you what is the art of the possible. The idea is from our side to say, hey, this is the art of the possible. Take it, use it in your own context, and make it work. These example, it just shows you what is the art of the possible. When I first started using ChatGPT, my prompts were 1 or 2 lines. Slowly, they have become longer and longer because I've understood the value of context. I've understood the value of specificity, I being as specific as possible, and I've understood the value of challenging ChatGPT to refine its answer. And it's not just a one-off, one-hit question-answer product. You can refine it, you can challenge it, and then also use an external context using URLs and all those things, third-party URLs, analyzing your data. So where do we believe we go from here when it comes to generative AI and ChatGPT is that we believe the pace of innovation, I've been in tech for a long time, about 20 years, starting with Yahoo. I have literally not seen this pace of innovation when it comes to tech at this rate. You're seeing new AI tools come up every week. They're making life easier. There are tools that are automating ChatGPT and other tools. You've got presentations tools. So we will see continuous improvement in capabilities at a very, very fast pace. Multimodal models are being built. So what does that mean? So ChatGPT interface is text. They are working on image and video interfaces, which obviously saves people a lot of time. And we believe that every software platform, in your particular case, it's HR, payroll, will have elements of ChatGPT embedded in it. So for example, Q&A on your HR policies, how much time do HR teams spend on answering questions from employees on HR policy? We believe your HR tool with the right policy embedded in it will automate it using generative AI. They will just scan and train themselves on your policy data, and they'll be able to answer the question, automatically. So not only would you be able to generate the policy using, tools like ChatGPT and refine it, or at least get it 80% there, you will then have your HR system then use generative AI to produce, Q&A for your employees when they're asking questions. So most HR software or any software, we believe, will have generative AI embedded on it, and they will train the generative AI on your data, right? That's what we believe will happen. And obviously a lot more automation and the ability to tackle kind of bigger challenges. So what does that mean? So for us, the key thing is here, don't panic, play around with the tools. So, technology comes in waves. Every wave improves automation. It improves the ability for you to do things, makes your life easier so that you can think creatively. So play around with some of the free tools available, which I'll share with you. Use it in your day-to-day work. If you're trying to do anything manual, try to use ChatGPT on some of these tools so you can automate a lot of it. Ask your providers that you're working with, hey, what AI capabilities you have or you're building. And so you automate the things, the manual tasks, so you can actually spend time on the fun bit of HR, which is the people time, talking to people and trying to automate a lot of stuff that you traditionally would have to spend a lot of time on. Then obviously, most importantly, how do you get your managers and your employees to start using tools like ChatGPT as well? Because it's a big time saver for them, so that they don't come to you with all the questions all the time, and they can use the tools themselves to get much more effective in what they do. So before I close, there's another quick poll from my end. Janak, if you could help me, I just like to ask a question. Thank you. Okay, fantastic. So no, I'm really happy with the results I see. We got 66%, 65% curious to explore more, and 30% on board. Let's go. Fantastic. I'm sure the guys who are curious to explore more, as you start playing with the tool, as you start customizing to your own needs, you will get into the next category, which is let's jump on board. And I'm also, I appreciate and understand why some people are apprehensive, and that's obviously totally understandable. And I guess when you go into the curious category, you'll see how it can serve your purpose. So conscious of time. So next slide is, this is just some of the tools. We'll share the deck with you. Obviously, we're going to be launching a free generative AI course on 5minutes.ai, just a simple, easy one to help you learn quickly what all the fuss is about. These are my email details. You can email me anytime. This is one of my passion areas, generative AI, and how people can use it for efficiency. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Here's some other tools. Text generation, ChatGPT, Bing is also using ChatGPT embedded in it. Microsoft Bing, image generation, Lexica, DALL-E, fantastic tools. Now you can generate presentations by giving Tumi a prompt. So beta.tumi.app is a tool for that. If you want to do simple, quick presentations, you can use that. Video generation, Synthesia, fantastic tool. And then music, royalty-free, using Amper. So those are some of the tools that you can use and learn from. I'd be very happy to take some questions. We were sent through some questions before, which I can cover, or I can take more questions. Jana, how would you like to do that? So I'll be very happy to take any questions, or shall I? Okay, all right. Okay, fantastic. So let's go on kind of specific questions that were sent initially over email. So one of the questions that came was how to equip and empower employees to use ChatGPT to increase their productivity in daily basis. So I think the best way, you'd actually be surprised by how many of your employees are actually already using ChatGPT. When I speak to a lot of founders and HR leaders, what I'm hearing is people are already using it. But I think it's something that you can talk about in your get-togethers, and your leaders can lead by example. So probably leaders, employees always follow the leaders. So if you can get your top leaders in the company or top HR leaders using the product, showcasing some examples on how it saved time, that's probably the best way to get others to use the product. And people learn from each other. So shout about examples that people have learned from, shout about examples that people have actually benefited from. And that's how you can get it going. But start with the leaders, get the top leaders to start using the product, show some examples, which they can share with the rest of the company. Second question was around how do we improve employee retention with ChatGPT and generative AI. So obviously, as I went through the presentation, I talked about all the different areas. So there's multiple touch points which you can use. Employee surveys is a great one, creating surveys, understanding the sentiment of the surveys. You can even ask ChatGPT how you can take the survey feedback and create some actionable recommendations. Like if you have feedback survey results, you can feed it into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me 5 recommendations, or so on and so forth. ER letters, research papers, again, you can ask prompts and how it can answer the question, and templates. So all these things you can do. So I think some of the questions that were sent before, I have answered. There was another question from an organization, which is an HR outsourcing company. And the question was, how does ChatGPT impact our value proposition? And how do we need to pivot? Or how do we empower ourselves to handle objections? So I would say that if you're an HR outsourcing business working with a lot of companies, what you can do is really now focus on your time on the value add, the analysis. So instead of focusing your time on a lot of the manual work of generating letters, writing templates, you're going to use your brain to do the analysis of the results you get. So that's what automation empowers you to do, which is focus your time on the brain power, the analysis, while letting the tool do all the manual work. So I wouldn't call it disruptive. It's to HR outsourcing companies is how it saves you time so you can focus on deep insights and analysis. So let me answer some questions on the Zoom chat now. So question on viruses. No viruses. These programs are all cloud-based software. They have to go through very stringent checks. They're designed by some of the top companies in the world. So, from what we use it, again, these are cloud-based software. So obviously, if you put anything on your desktop, be very, very careful, follow your IT security policy. But these are cloud software products. We tend to not have these kinds of viruses. And they're all done by very, very well-known organizations like Meta or Facebook, Microsoft, and so on and so forth. So from our standpoint, we don't see that risk. But obviously, these softwares should not ask you to download anything on your computer. If an AI tool asks you to download something on your computer, double check with your ID security. The second question is that existing tools summarize words into charts and diagrams. So it is that's an area which we have not come across. So you can summarize words. You can use ChatGPT for summarization. It's a fantastic summarization tool. Better than anything else we have seen out there, and we have played with a lot of tools. So you can give ChatGPT a URL, it'll summarize it for you. You can keep it a bunch of text, you'll summarize it for you. But then converting words to a chart or an infographic, we have not seen something else that we would recommend right now. You can convert words into images using Lexica and all that, but converting charts into an infographic, not yet. But I'm sure in the next 2 to 3 months you will find it. Asking ChatGPT to search LinkedIn to identify candidates, that, to our knowledge, is not possible yet, because LinkedIn again is a closed, data set in terms of the data. Obviously, Microsoft and ChatGPT have a deep partnership, so I'm not surprised at some point LinkedIn recruitment solutions will embed generative AI. There are some other recruitment tools out there. Seek Out, for example, is one. Enterprise tools that are already embedding generative AI to search candidates based on certain skills. So there are some tools out there which are doing it. As for example, Seek Out, SEEKOUT. But again, they work mainly with the enterprise companies. So I'm pretty hopeful in the next, a lot of the traditional tool companies like the Indeeds and the Monsters of the world will start embedding generative AI also, so that you can define the set of skills and then they can pull the candidate list for you. It's all happening very soon, but right now I cannot tell you a tool that would appeal for small to medium-sized companies that do this pulling candidates out based on the skills that you define. The next question is, have you used ChatGPT to create good prompts? Yes, we have actually. We have asked ChatGPT and said, hey, and we've asked them to, hey, how would you refine the prompt? You've also used ChatGPT to create prompts for other tools. So you can ask ChatGPT, hey, can you give me a good prompt for Lexica? Or can you give me a good prompt for any of the other tools? So it's pretty good at that. I'd give it a try. And it can also respond to you and say, hey, can you help? How do I make my prompt more specific? Give me some ideas so I get better results from you. Yes, we have done that. It works really, really well. So the way you can upload your policy or anything into ChatGPT is as a block of text. So right now it does not accept PDF or Word input to our knowledge, but you can copy and paste that text and embed it and say, hey, can you create a Q&A out of it or something like that? So that you can do. So I would take the Word document, I would copy and paste that deck, and then in ChatGPT, I would say, could you help us summarize this, and then give it the block of text. It does not take input as a Word document or PDF at the moment. Confidential and sensitive information. I'd be very, very careful about highly sensitive and confidential information into ChatGPT. So, you don't want your company crown jewels to be embedding into ChatGPT. I would not necessarily recommend that right now. Things that are less sensitive, like policies and all that, it's not a big deal. But if you're talking about your business updates and all those things, you just never know. So we've actually. So the next question is around. I think it was a question around: is ChatGPT? ChatGPT 4. Which is way more advanced than the previous version, is a paid product. It's $20, but the cost is very low. It's only $20 a month, and it pays itself over many times. I don't usually promote products, but it's just such a time saver that $20 a month, you as an HR professional, it's really, really a very, very effective use of money. So it is a paid product. They have to restrict usage. Bear in mind, it costs them huge amounts of money to run it, and obviously to power that brain costs a lot of money. So I think $20 a month, $20 a month is very low. The paid version is better than the free version because it's trained on a much, much larger data set. And the brain, it's the main example I gave you of a child or a toddler, right? Where the more their parents are talking to them, the more they're learning. And that's the same analogy. So GPT, the paid version, has got GPT-4, which is trained on at least 10 times more data sets. So that's what it is trained on. So it's much, much more powerful and then 3.5. And again, the cost is really, really effective. The question is around OpenAI or Bard. I must say, I've been really, really underwhelmed by Google. I've been Google was my homepage. I was using Google for all, God knows how many years. And I was very excited when I was accepted in the waitlist for Bard, but I was really underwhelmed. So OpenAI is miles ahead at the moment. So we don't know what Google is going to do about it, but OpenAI is way, way better. ChatGPT is way, way better. And Microsoft really has a trump card under its sleeves, in my opinion. With this product. Bard just doesn't even compare, in my opinion. Can ChatGPT identify trends? Yes, it can. So you can actually, from what I understand, copy and paste the data set into it. So just like you would copy and paste your any document you wanted to summarize or create a questions and answers from, you can copy and paste your data set into ChatGPT, and it can actually analyze trends based on it. So we've seen that examples. And so you can use it for sure. You can do it. It does not let you upload a spreadsheet, but if you can copy and paste that Excel data set into ChatGPT and ask it to analyze it to spot trends, it'll be able to do that. So I think the question around how many apps that leverage ChatGPT, I think, so the way to think about it is that the underlying tech, the large language model, which is trained on data set under ChatGPT, is GPT-4. And GPT-4 is being used by, I think there are probably, almost close to 1,000 apps that are using GPT-4 right now. And you get pretty much new, probably about 50 or 100 apps being created every week. So this is like, in my opinion, this is like what happened with the App Store. There's so many apps kind of, coming out and just using the power of GPT-4, which underpins ChatGPT. So, and these are cloud-based apps. So most of them are cloud-based apps. They're not going to ask you to download on your computer. They're cloud-based apps. They should not ask you to download anything on your computer. When they're cloud-based apps, they're generally more secure. They have to obviously comply with whatever GPT-4 or OpenAI's requirements are on security. So generally, they are safe. Don't embed. It would be just like how you would use any other app online. Just that's how you use these apps. There's nothing different. There's nothing materially different to these apps than what you have used. And honestly, most of these apps ask you to put in a prompt and generate a result. So if you're using something to generate input a prompt and generate a result that can help you, how insecure can it be, right? So I think then question is around within an organization. I think that's a conversation you have to ask with your IT. Obviously, it's a web-based kind of tool. It can be used in company-specific documents, but there are two ways in which you can do that. You can either, again, upload something that's not super sensitive, because again, your data is not going to go on the wide world, but but you still have to have a very clear view on what you can ask ChatGPT to analyze and what you can. So the likelihood of data leaking from ChatGPT is very low, but at the same time, you have to be really conscious that you don't want to release, you don't want it to analyze Uber, at least on chat.openai, you don't want it to analyze Uber sensitive data, right? So I would only ask ChatGPT to analyze data that is not Uber sensitive. And so in terms of your organization, you can actually either ask it to analyze your data. You can take your policy, copy it, paste it, and say, hey, do something, analyze this, generate a Q&A. Or if you have engineers, your engineers can actually, it's very easy to create these bots that use the underlying ChatGPT technology, and then you're in a private, secure environment. But an engineer needs to run, create a little bot that uses GPT-4, which is the underlying ChatGPT technology, to analyze your documents. And I'm pretty sure that very soon your HR platform will have that underlying technology, which allows it to analyze your employee handbooks and policies and so on and so forth, and be able to extract the relevant information. In terms of the next question is around tools for data analysis. It really is very hard to answer that question without understanding the context. There are just so many tools for data analysis, and I'm not qualified enough to answer the questions because I don't know enough context to that. I think the survey data analysis, I think you can definitely do that. Again, you can feed survey data into ChatGPT. It should be able to give you good results. It doesn't accept spreadsheets, so you have to find a format in which you can actually embed that data into ChatGPT and analyze that data for you. I think my experience with a lot of the AI tools is that if it's text-based format and it's question, answer, response, you're better off trying ChatGPT than doing a lot of other crazy tools. So summarization, data analysis, Q&A, best on ChatGPT. If you have a format where you need a different type of output, let's say you need a presentation in the form of slides, you need a video output, you need an audio output, then play around with the tools that I have suggested in my deck, which is, Synthesia, Toomey, and some others you'll get in the deck. But generally, if you want a text-based analysis, text-based output, sentiment analysis, survey analysis, use ChatGPT. Summarization, use ChatGPT. Figure out how you want to feed data into it. ChatGPT essentially is a destination. It's like, so the question is, does ChatGPT work with different Bing, Google search? Yes. So ChatGPT is a URL. So you go to chat.openai.com and you start asking questions. So chat.openai.com, you start asking questions. And obviously it's trained on data sets, 3.5 billion pages on the web. So yes, it works with everything, Bing, Google, so that's basically how you can actually see what data sets it's trained on. But it works with everything in the web because it's parsing all the information that's available on the web. In terms of learning deeper about prompts, I think, someone pasted GPT for HR. We're also going to create a little ebook on our own, which is basically the top prompts. But I think the key here is that you got to experiment for yourself, and I think that's the most important thing. That these as the do's and don'ts which I talked about: be specific, add context, get the result. Don't stop at the first response you get. Challenge it, refine it, ask another question, and soon you will be a prompt expert in your own domain, because only you know your context. And just give it a go. You'll be surprised. The tool is changing. It's adding a lot of capabilities. Like, for example, summarization of external URLs was not there before. It is there now. And so you're going to be the best creator. It's empowering you to get your results. Yep. I think one other question was around copyright. So that's a whole area. That's where a lot of Hollywood, a lot of the Silicon Valley, they're trying to figure it out. What does it mean? So I'm not really qualified to answer that question. And that's a debate that's going on. With some of the top copyright lawyers, some of the top Silicon Valley CEOs, and so it would not be my place to comment on it. But obviously, right now, it is how you can use it, how you can save time, how you can focus on people time, which is what you love doing, and automate as much as possible the manual activities. So it saves you times and makes everybody more productive. And more importantly, how do you get your teams, your people, your organization start using the product as well? Great. So thank you everyone. Again, like Saurav, obviously I'd love to answer any questions you have about it. I'm very passionate about the subject, and I'm so excited that so many people showed up, and it was obviously very, very engaging, and it was really great to virtually meet everyone. And thank you very much to Jana, Nurul, and the SHRI team to give 5 minutes this opportunity to talk about generative AI and ChatGPT.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the insightful sharing. I hope everyone has picked up some tips and tricks that they can use for using ChatGPT moving forward. All right. Okay, just a moment. Let me just share a slide. All right. So thank you again, once again. We'd love to hear talking points from you guys. So if you guys could just scan the QR code, or we'll be sharing the link for your feedback. So please to share your feedback so that we are able to serve you better in future as well. Yeah. All right. Once again, thank you so much, Sarah. Hope everyone had a great time and have a great rest of the week. See you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.